And there we go.
Okay. Hello and welcome to Pals Pulls for what week is this? The week of the 25th. Week of the 25th. We're at the end of August, end of the summer. And you know what? Comics are not heating up. They're not.
Boy,
Um
was it the fall of comics?
well, it's just because like I feel like the options for this week and next week aren't the
Oh,
absolute most interesting, you know?
Mm.
Um
next
Next
week
week's looking a
is
little rough.
next week is like the fourth week.
Yeah. It's the
It's
fifth week.
is it really?
Um,
Oh, I guess it would be the fifth week. Yeah, yeah. This felt like a fourth week. Next week is the real
yeah.
fifth week. Yeah.
But we've got some interesting books to talk about tonight. Say hello, by the way, as you join us. Say hello if you're watching this not live. If you're watching this on YouTube, say hello. If you're watching us live on Twitch, say hello. And if you're not, you should join us live on Twitch every single Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern for this show. 10:15 a.m. Eastern for the main show. Patreon.com/the Comics Pals is where you can support the show for as little as $3 a month. Get access to our newsletter. This was Kale's week. We'll talk more about that on Saturday on the main show. Book Club, our Batman White Knight and Curse of the White Knight book club will be out September 4th.
Oh shit!
So, yeah,
Two
look for that.
Tuesdays. 2 Tuesdays.
Yeah, you've got time to read it. You've got time. So go
Wait,
ahead and do that.
September 6th.
September 6th. Am I crazy?
Yeah, Tuesday.
Probably.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, September 6th. My bad.
Fool!
Dude, it's September already, and I haven't gone to the beach at all. What am I doing?
Yeah, well, wake me up when September ends.
Hey,
Let's talk about the books that we're going to be reviewing today. We've got Judgment AXC Judgment Day #3. By the way, they put the best girl up front, didn't they? That Jean
Iron
Grey
Man.
cover.
Oh,
Look
if
at
only there were
that.
variants.
Hey, the only other variant that Midtown had also was a Jean Grey cover. So I should have bought both, but I was being cheap. Um, Tales of the Human Target #1, which, content aside, I'm questioning why this book had to exist. Human Target comes back literally next month. So this isn't really like a stopgap.
Yeah.
maybe this should have come out a month ago.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Maybe it was delayed. I don't know, but it's weird. Detective Comics, what number is this? Because there are so many. 1063.
Rom B boy.
And Rom V #2, we got Swamp Thing 16.
You got the
What is
right
that?
variant.
That's a good
this
cover.
time.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Is that Brian
Is that-
Boland?
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm glad you like it.
You put that back up.
Boland
Hold on a
don't
second.
miss.
Yeah.
Boland don't miss.
Oh, that's hot. That's
Yeah,
good.
man.
Parliament of Gears behind him too. How old is Boland?
I don't know.
Been doing it for-
97.
Yeah, a little younger than Kale. Somewhere in between there.
Honestly, like Boland and Alex Ross, those are like my top two cover artists. I think
Really?
Alex Ross
Top
is just
two?
such. Well, they're in the top. I'll put them in the top 10. I'm not really thinking about it too hard right now, but they're definitely some of my top favorites.
Okay. Matt says, "Why did I resubscribe on a Swamp Thing episode?"
It's the last one.
Yeah, this is the finale. Don't you want to hear our final thoughts about Swamp Thing?
What did you think?
'Cause
We were
we got
gonna
'em.
read all of the Swamp Thing and then not do the end? Do you think we were just gonna edge it and then blue ball Swamp Thing?
Green ball swamp thing.
Oh, well, then
Speaking
go
of
Doctor.
blue balls, let's talk about AXE Judgment Day #3.
Curious to see where that segue goes.
That's just how it feels when I read a comic centered around Jean Grey.
He just feels a little cucked.
Anyway,
Not touching that at all. Keep going.
last issue we saw.
Sean is.
No, I'm not. That's the problem. Last issue we saw the birth of the progenitor, not Arishem, so I was wrong about that. But we've got this new celestial who has decided he's going to judge every single living being on Earth. Every person out is getting judged.
Damn, me and you, bud.
Yeah, listen, man.
See, this guy's just doing what I do when I sit on a bench in Central Park.
Yeah. Look at this asshole walking by.
Yeah.
Nah.
Who would survive among us? Who would be judged worthy?
None of us.
Nobody.
No?
No.
I think I'd be all right.
Nah.
You pick your nose with your index finger, or your pinky.
My index finger. I'm not a monster.
All right.
I've
Pass.
got to
What
work
kind
for
of
those
what kind of
boogers,
fast food do you
man.
like eating, Cal?
Sorry.
What kind of fast food do you like eating?
Oh, Wendy's. Wendy's
Okay.
all day.
All right.
Oh,
I think you're safe.
yeah,
then. I think
yeah.
you're
All
safe.
right.
I like Chick-fil-A. Um,
Right to jail.
oh man. So this is Kieran Gillen on the words, Valerio Schiti on the art, Martha Gracia did the colors here, and Clayton Cowles did the letters. So this was I thought this was much better than issue 2. I enjoyed this a lot more. It took me a little while because there were a lot of words on some pages. Like, look at this double page spread. This is the Quiet Council having a conversation in psychic space, and it is completely bombarded with word balloons. It's absurd.
When did Psychic Space look like the Oscars?
All white. Ha, ha,
All
ha.
white. How's that for a dated joke?
My only opinion about this book really is that it felt noisy. I got to that psychic space and I just it felt like things were screaming in my head.
Yeah, I agree. This was the first, I think, time that I've felt in this book there's just too much going on a page. Like, the art had no space a lot of the time, and even in moments where we wanted to see action, so they would just be obscured. And it's frustrating to watch when you have pretty good artists, colorists on board. But there was one in particular that was really egregious for me, where for a second it looked like a caption panel at the very top of the panel. It's where Tony is talking with Sinister, and then the text bubble continues. I'm like, oh shit, that wasn't a caption. That was just somebody continue to have dialogue. And at that point, I was just like, all right, I'm falling asleep at this book.
So there is more action, there's more battle, and I feel similarly disengaged with that as I did last issue. We do get Eternals versus X-Men here because the X-Men are like, hey, and that was, I think, the best part of this book. I think that that the story and the twist are actually really good. The X-Men decide that they need to kill the new Celestial, and it's all based around this lie that Destiny tells them, which I was surprised by, and I think that's going to have ripple effects potentially going forward.
I didn't read that as a lie that Destiny told them. I thought it was Sinister telling Destiny something that he didn't have all the pieces for, and he wound up screwing himself and all the X-Men over.
Well, she said she saw the future and that they don't die.
Maybe that's hubris then, because they didn't die. You know what I mean? Like, it was just a psychic. It's like a scapegoat. What's that? That Pokemon move where it's like the substitute? Yeah,
Substitute. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a brilliant play. But it set the X-Men back. Like it revealed them. it revealed their hand. I thought that was awesome. When it turns out that the Celestial starts exploding and Tony's like, oh, I think it's going to be all right. And then everyone on Earth is dead. I was like, wait a second. What the fuck did I just watch? Yeah. Is this the end of Marvel? What happened here?
That was good. Cool. That got me. Yeah. I was locked in. I'm like, oh shit, wait a minute. Now, where do we go from here? There's 3 more issues. Like, how do we deal with the aftermath? And then it doesn't happen, and then people are crying. I'm like, oh shit, all right, fine.
Yeah, but don't worry. It's a Marvel book.
but then at that point, like the next step feels almost inconsequential in response. Because the plan was, okay, we're gonna try this out. It's not gonna work out because it all happened inside the mind of the Celestial. Like now what? And maybe that's a
That-
good. Maybe it's a
think
good
that's-
position to be
yeah.
put in. Fair.
My issue, and also something I can kind of like praise the book for, is that I feel like with every issue, the status quo changes, like what the story is about. The first issue it was these kaiju, then it was like, oh, now we need to get this progenitor going. Now this one, it's like, oh, the progenitor's going to now judge everyone, not based on, humanity as a whole. It's individually and then tallying it. And there's this fight that doesn't actually turn out to be a fight. It almost feels like a Marvel event book that is trying to be a dumb event like that I like. Which again, one of the reasons why I liked Empire about last year, 2 years ago. I don't understand time. I like when they're dumb and they're just bombastic and fun. But it's also kind of smart, which I'm enjoying about it. Because there is something being told, about, the part where Captain America gets judged. I loved that part.
That
That
good.
was awesome.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought that was
Did
a
you
great
guys
breakdown to the
catch-
character.
Did you guys catch the Britishism?
The Shield.
No. Captain
No.
America says, now we have to go tidy this up. Captain America
Oh,
wouldn't say that.
no,
He's
he
from
wouldn't.
fucking Brooklyn.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, man, I feel like, you, Tyler, criticized this book or no, that was, you criticized Dark Crisis
Yeah,
for
yeah.
not moving the plot forward.
This
And I
is
feel
almost the
like,
exact opposite.
sorry?
This is like the opposite of that.
Right, this is the opposite,
Yeah.
yeah. Which, like, I'm into what's happening, right? But again, it's not character driven. That's, I think, why I'm enjoying Dark Crisis more. I thought this was a good issue, and I really hung on that twist. That was great. But it's just one thing after another that the characters themselves aren't driving forward too much. Like, even to your point, Destiny says, oh, we'll live through this, which technically was true. Sinister makes a decision that causes things to go bad, but they didn't really go bad because it didn't happen. So what will be the lasting impact of anyone's decision making except the judge for the first 3 issues? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is the impact of this going forward?
Didn't the progenitor show all the civilians what happened and what the X-Men did? So I guess that's the last thing. It's this public perception, I guess, of what the X-Men or what superheroes in general are willing to do without caring about the everyman in that way.
I wish I could hang on to that. My only issue, and the story could prove me wrong, my only issue is that I feel that by the end of this, the resolution is that, hey, they're heroes. And they are ultimately worthy or something of that nature, whether it's in the eyes of the progenitor or the eyes of the people. That's my thought about how this will end.
Okay.
And if that's the case, then that removes the relevancy of what just happened outside of the moment itself, if that makes sense.
But I think that's why we have that specific page that's been in every issue with all the civilians. Now we kind of understand these people by issue 3 and what their views on the world are. And seeing that change, I guess, throughout the next 3 issues might be how we get invested in that, because they are the everyday normal person and what their view of superheroes could be.
But that still doesn't, like, for me, that doesn't feel compelling yet, because we get a few panels of each of these people, and we're expected
Six
to
panels,
then
yeah.
have an understanding of the larger role of superheroes or of this celestial in terms of their own lives. Like that feels like it needs to be expanded out. And maybe to your point, that's what's happening in the next issue, right? We're going to start to see the everyday individual get judged and how they react to that. And that'll be interesting. But as of right now, I mean, they're just there. They're taking the pages, honestly, and dialogue.
Marco's idea right there, what Marco just said, in my mind, would make a phenomenal shoot, what's it called? Frontline, a
Oh, dude,
phenomenal Frontline
I
series.
love Frontline books. I don't know why they don't do
Yeah.
those anymore.
Frontline is awesome. For those of you who are unfamiliar, they started with Civil War. So you had the main event.
Oh,
Frontline was the companion piece that was the on the ground human level with the reporters, but you had Ben Urich, you had Sally, you had all these like low to the ground things happening. It's where you got the civilian perspective, and it wasn't the main event, it was the side dish. They did it for World War Hulk as well. This series, I think, would benefit a lot from something like that because the world itself is being judged, all of humanity, but then you have these gods fighting each other for your sake, maybe. And I think it would be interesting to see what people think about that. But the way it's being done in this comic book is a nothing burger
yeah.
to me.
And the way the book ends seems like the goal is to not look at the everyday person, but instead, how do we influence everyone? How do we take that agency away from the everyday person instead?
That was wild.
Disney.
Because, I mean, yeah. Well, we see
Has it-
Harry Styles at the end there.
Yeah. Has it been the same 6 people through
Yeah,
the other 3 issues? 2 issues?
Yes, the one of them died in issue 2, and you see his wife in.
God, fucking
one.
spoilers, Jesus.
But yeah,
I don't know. What Marco was describing, and I guess Tyler was probably describing it to a degree about the role of civilians in this world. I think Gillen actually did it better in the first volume of Eternals.
Okay.
Icarus, he pledges to watch over this young boy because he gets this vision of him dying or something, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna be there, don't worry. And then the second he's gone, the kid dies, and they find out that it's the Eternal's fault. And to me, that just like that's it. That's what all of these people are here for. They're here to protect you, but the second they turn their back, like it's all their fault. They have to leave you at some point. I just feel like that was better executed.
Elsewhere.
Yeah.
that is a funny
Yeah.
theme throughout these two, though. These two Gillen pieces.
What do you mean?
And I'm curious, like, I wonder if that's what he's going for. Like he's trying to expand upon that, what he did in Internals. And I think in Internals too, it's when an Internal dies and they get brought back by the machine, they have to kill a human to do it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there is like a direct cause there. And I think they even discussed that in the tie-in book we read last week. They're like, oh, we can't die because then people will die.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's like the cause of all this.
It's also worth pointing out that every single thing that's happening right now has nothing to do with human beings. Like this is that now they're all going to be judged and potentially killed because Iron Man and the Eternals and Mr. Sinister decided to make a machine, a celestial god. And now they're all going to die.
also, like, not the people I would choose to make a god, like I'm sorry, Tony, but like Sinister.
These
Oh,
assholes
man.
watch. These assholes watch Age of Ultron.
Did they see Ultron? Like,
Well, I mean, that's why Hank
Just-
Pym's not there.
well, listen, there's not much difference between Tony. The difference between Tony and Hank Pym is a slap.
Yeah,
Dude, I
he's
have that issue.
spousal abuse.
Yeah. The art's good here. I really like. I mean, look, Marta Gracia has earned his position in the annals of comic book colorists since the X-Men stuff kicked off. Before that, too, the Amazing Spider-Man run that he had with Giuseppe Camuncoli, he was great on that as well. But this is another level, and it's amazing to be watching him work. But Valerio Schiti is no slouch either. I love his art. I love these. I don't know if you guys can really tell what I'm pointing at, but like these ring beams that they kind of do. They do it with Cyclops a lot when he uses his powers. It's this action sequence right here where why do I always forget this guy's name? Exodus, where he's crushing Icarus.
Yeah.
But I love those. Those are really cool. The action just looks so like dynamic and fun. It's really good.
I especially like the pages where you see X-Men just dying. Like there's like a background like scene where Beast just gets stabbed in the heart by
Yeah, there is.
by Athena. And Icarus, was it magic that he just splits in two?
Oh, is that
know?
who that was?
I couldn't tell who it was, but I was trying to
Yeah.
base it on where he was flying in that panel above. I couldn't tell who it was. Either that or Firestar. It's a little hard to tell. But like X-Men are just getting killed left and right here. Domino was cut in half at one point in one of the shots. So playing with that too is fun because I don't think we really played with the X-Men as cannon fodder as much as we have in this event.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm feeling that too much.
You don't like people getting jobbed out without explanation?
No, I don't. Because it's so frustrating because you know that if they didn't have this ability to die at will, they just wouldn't be dying. You know, like they're actively removing the importance of death and they're like reveling in it. And that's frustrating to me.
There's that one beat where was it Emma that's like, "Hey, let people know we need more Xaviers."
Yeah, like you're just ordering an Xavier like you're at
Why don't you
Chick-fil-A.
just
Like
make more than one? Like you have the ability to, right?
Make him peach flavor too.
Yeah.
Pull. This was solid. It's not, this event still isn't lighting me on fire, but it's getting better.
Yeah, Paul.
It is fun.
I pull it.
All right. So let's talk about what was supposed to be a, palate cleanser, a holdover for those of us who are missing the Human Target, which I think from the beginning of it, from issue 1 until the hiatus in issue 6, was one of the best books on the stands. Human Target has been fantastic, and can't get enough. But the team needed a little bit of time to catch up, and so they were granted that. And we got this Tales of the Human Target #1. Tom King, Kevin Maguire, Mikkel Janin, Raphael Albuquerque, and Greg Smallwood. So there's 4 different stories in here, 3 stories.
3 stories. Yeah.
3 stories. And each one features a character who's currently a suspect in the main book. Guy Gardner, Booster Gold, and that's Fire, right?
Yep.
Yeah. They're all suspects in the main story, and this is an encounter that each one has. Should we even spoil the end?
I mean, it's inconsequential, I feel like.
Yeah, screw it. We do spoilers here. It is what it is. Each of their first encounters with Human Target while he was on the job.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. That was a cheeky way to do that, but I didn't care. Like I didn't need this book. The excitement's already there for the Human Target. So to see these one-off stories and to see where he first meets them, if it doesn't have a larger effect to the story, and maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I'm assuming not because the narrative seems a little bit different. It felt like a lot of the times this was the first time that they were meeting. Like in particular, something like a Guy Gardner, who I don't remember them mentioning that they had met in the past. Booster Gold, I think maybe had like a recollection about it, but regardless, this felt just like a filler episode.
I mean, that's literally all it is.
My thing is, this issue was cute. Like, it's good. Like, if you want it for the art's great. Seeing Albuquerque doing some fun Guy Gardner stuff, seeing Kevin Maguire doing more Booster Gold, like, that's never not a cool thing to see. And Mikkel Janin does something, I feel, very different with the work here.
Yeah.
In this.
Yeah.
It wasn't as sometimes with Michael Janin, it almost feels like he's working on like default computer graphics, if that makes sense. Like everyone kind of seems
Yep.
like they have the same skeleton, and then it's adjusted from there. There was some real depth to it that I haven't seen in a while from him. But in terms of the story, right off the bat, I would be okay with Tom King never writing Booster Gold again.
Oh my god.
That was rough.
Since Heroes in
Fucking
Crisis,
brutal, man.
Heroes in Crisis, and the starring story of Booster Gold here, it is grating, and I know that's the point of Booster Gold, but like, there's a sweet spot to make me realize he's a grating and annoying person, without having me not want to read it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, he's also likable to a certain degree. Like,
not here though. Yeah.
One tendency I feel Tom King has with these characters who, the IP characters, is that he identifies what he thinks the core tenets of their personality are, and then that's what he does over and over and over and over again. Whenever, Tom King does Booster Gold, he's the exact same Booster Gold, and it's the big picture thing you think of when you think of Booster Gold, and that's all. I think the only character I can think of that he didn't do that with is Batman, but he had a very specific point to make about Batman. But every single time we see Guy Gardner, it's the exact same Guy Gardner with the same annoying, personality.
Bravado
It-
and
to-
machismo.
To his to Tom King's strength though, like I think sometimes he's very good at finding out what that cornerstone is to that character.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy his Guy Gardner. I think that is who Guy Gardner is, especially in the Human Target stuff outside of this issue. There are striations and wrinkles to Guy Gardner, but when he's a side character, maybe you don't have time to actually get into that. But Booster Gold, I think he got the wrong cornerstone.
It's too much. It's too
Yeah.
much. It's all so condensed and like in the pages. I didn't feel like I needed it. It was abrasive.
Yeah, and you guys know how I feel about robot dialogue in comics, and there were pages where there were so many dialogue balloons, and some of them were taking place in what we were seeing on the page, but then some of them were not. They were from the conversation he's having with Ice, and both characters, Booster and what's his name, Skittles,
Skeets.
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 Oh, there you go again, Matt.
Double
Like
Skeet episode.
they're both talking to each other in the past and in the present. That was just too much, way too much.
Did anyone else get confused by that? Because it would catch me off guard sometimes. I would have to reread a panel or reread something.
The first time they did it, I was like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? And I got a little confused, and I was like, oh, the voice is still Booster Gold, so I can keep up with it. And then I understood
Yeah.
where they were going, but yeah, I was a little confused
oh
originally.
yeah.
The ultimate reveal, I mean, it came to me, I guess, like maybe a little less than halfway through the book where it was going, and once I realized it, it was like, all right,
Which
so what?
which reveal? The Ice
That-
reveal or the fact that this is the Human Target?
The fact that they were all
Okay.
human target. It was like, okay, so what? And then the Ice reveal, I feel like it's fine, but if this book wasn't planned already, then who cares what happened, what they reveal at the end? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a core idea it's gonna get where it's going, independent of this book's existence. Meaning that what we saw with Ice doesn't matter. So what did this exist for? As you said, this is literally intended to be filler, but I don't know. I was hoping for something to hang on to take into the series when it comes back.
Same.
Yeah, and even the Ice stuff is nothing.
I think it adds a little thing that, like, I know we know she's up to something in the main book, but I think this shows that there's a little more premeditation involved.
Right.
That's what I got out of it. I mean, for me, this issue is not it's not a sum of its parts. Like if you take all these things individually, like I think the Guy Gardner and the Ice story are fine one shot stories really.
The
Booster
fire
Gold
story.
Sorry, yeah, I got them mixed up. But those are fine stories. I really didn't like the Booster Gold one, even with the Kevin McGuire art. But I will say, seeing those like pinups of the major characters by Smallwood, and then those like end panels with Ice, I was like, that's what I miss.
Yeah.
I miss some Smallwood. I mean,
Wow. Tyler, listen. Yeah,
Matt.
this was a really great looking comic. Maybe the best of all the ones we read from a visual standpoint, because we got, several really talented artists. All the artists is phenomenal in this book, and it's one of the Human Target's biggest strengths. So it better look good. I just wish I cared more about the individual stories. Like the Fire one was nice because I don't know who Fire is. So seeing that, she is this super crazy loyal person to the literal end, it was creepy, but if that's who she is, then okay. Wow, okay, I didn't know that. But all the other ones I just couldn't get into.
I wonder how that does play into the ultimate reveal, because we haven't yet met Fire, right? Like we're leading up to that, if I remember correctly, and so it'll be curious to see, now that we know something about her like that, about her personality. It'd be interesting to see how that gets played into issue 7 and beyond.
Well, I think what we learned is that you can extrapolate her loyalty in this situation and potentially apply it to Ice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she's not a reliable person for Human Target to be interacting with either, because she's gonna stand for Ice.
Right.
I want to unfortunately pass. The art is phenomenal, and I thought Tom King's dialogue, especially in the Fire story, was really good. The Booster stuff was grating and annoying, but the Fire part I thought was really good from a dialogue standpoint. He doesn't do anything wrong, as much as it's a filler story. Like there's nothing more to say about it. It's filler.
Yeah.
If you want that, if you want to see great art, buy it. But for me, I would say pass. It's not worth it.
The twist worked for me. The first one, the Christopher Chance twist.
Yeah.
I didn't see it coming, but the journey there was very frustrating. And then once you have it, it's not really a big deal.
Right.
So it's hard to say, like, if you're missing Human Target, pick this up, because it's gonna be back soon,
In a
and we've
month.
waited this long. Yeah. And frankly, like, all due respect to these artists, like Smallwood's the attraction for
cover.
that book, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
like I almost want to say pull for the cover alone. That cover is insane. The A cover, the Smallwood,
yeah.
pink lemonade looking cover. Oh, it's just
Looks
I don't
like,
see that in comics really, let alone big 2 comics. So
Looks like Trix yogurt.
I want to say pass.
Yeah, I think so. Pass, just because I didn't want something filler like this. I wanted something with more substance that would inform the actual series, because I've been enjoying that series so much, and there's so many layers to it, that something that was additive would be much better than this. And to Kale's point, I'm in it for the Smallwood art. As much as these guys are great, that's what I want to see.
Yeah, agreed. Let's get into the first of 2 books that we're going to be doing from one Rom V. We're going to start with Detective Comics number 1063. So we got Rom V, of course, the writer here, and another dose of Raphael Albuquerque as well. Go figure. Dave Stewart on colors. He was also on colors in the Human Target story. And then the letterer here is Ariana Mayer. Can I start because I don't
Ooh,
know, man.
ooh. Okay, go
All
go go.
right. I cannot do this Batman dialogue.
Oh, okay.
I can't do it. Batman is talking with so much so many flowery words, almost spirit almost spiritual in terms of how flowery they are, and that's not how Batman talks. It's just not. And I don't care what the reason is that you're doing it. It's just not what Batman sounds like. And it's like the opposite of what Tom King is doing with some of the characters that we mentioned earlier. He's not even trying to make Bruce or Batman sound like Bruce or Batman.
It,
And I
it
can't get with it.
it feels like a carryover of Swamp Thing, where he's using these
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
and that's very much the sense that I got was like, hold on, this could work, but this feels misplaced for the character. This I could see doing for someone who is more introspective, someone who can reflect, someone who like has these larger concepts to work off of. But he's closer to the ground. He's not going to be talking about the wrath of my it's not my wrath they're running from. It is not the Penguin or Enigma or any of the usual devils. Like it's a lot.
Cardine's words linger, as does his music. Heavy bars slung from impossible chords that will not leave my ears. You know, that thought we've all had about a
Right.
good song. The
Yeah.
new Mountain Goats album, just, a bop in your head.
Is there an album?
It's a good one. It's
Yeah.
really good.
Check it out.
Yeah, I'm having trouble with this one, guys. It looks great. I love the way it looks, especially like that
Oh,
that
yeah.
Barbados page that's in there. But like, it doesn't read as Batman to me. It reads super foreign, and like I don't mind this storytelling in a Batman story as long as Batman is Batman. Like this can work. It's similar like Court of Owls kind of had the same kind of air to it originally.
Dude,
Um,
how many mystical supernatural villains does Batman have? The whole point is that Batman is the
Yep.
logic. Batman's the reason. Batman's flat. He doesn't go up or down. He's just Batman. And the world around him can be different and it can change and evolve, but he's Batman.
the only thing that I was like, maybe there is a in text explanation for that is that whole like idea of the black noise and how like it could be bringing something to the forefront that you didn't know was there. So maybe there's some kind of latent Barbados within Batman that is taking over him, that's changing him. Again, maybe I'm stretching here, but that's
like
the
a
only
brown
I can
note.
get out of it. Brown note's very different.
Is it?
That makes you
Bring
shit your
something out of
pants.
you didn't know was
Oh.
there?
Oh.
I think there could be something there, but not to the extent at which this is like him narrating. I feel like if there was something, I think the Barbados page where he's like just down on the ground and this visage of a terrific like a terrifying bat is over him, that works. That I think makes sense in the context of like something is hanging over him and he's feeling the weight of it. I think that thematically could work with the black noise. Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
beautiful page. And then like the spittle that Batman has. This book is reading very much like a horror book, and I think he needs to lean into that a little bit more. And that mystical element could be leveraged for that, but he's not using it for that. He's using it to describe Batman's world and to describe Batman's actions versus implying a horror there or implying some sort of terrible act.
My other
I think
issue,
if there were a Oh, sorry, just quickly. I think if there were a framing device on this too, I think that would help that a lot.
Yeah.
and my other issue is more of a continuity issue, but like this Harvey Dent, like I don't know when all this change to Harvey happened.
I was gonna ask about that.
Like the gold
Yeah.
mask. Like I'm reading Task Force Z right now. He's kind of normal Harvey Dent. In that, like at one point he like Bruce sits down with him, and like he knows Bruce is Batman. Was that how I was reading that correctly?
I got that impression.
Yeah.
Which I don't remember that being a thing either. That might be a thing that's always off and on, but I don't know where it currently stands.
Yeah. That didn't strike me because I always assume Harvey knows. Harvey and Joker. Well, Harvey and Joker are the ones I think know, but
I always thought it was like Harvey knows, Two-Face doesn't know. That sort of situation. Does that make sense?
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
Sure,
Okay.
I guess. Now so everything I've said before is definitely how I felt until the story became more about Harvey. I said the other day, where's Harvey Dent? Like, Two-Face has never been the bad guy, the main guy of any Batman I've ever read since I started reading comics. So I was like, okay, cool to see him. Don't like his dialogue. He sounds like a thespian. Then things progress and we see a little bit more of him, and I'm like, oh shit, all right. So he's got the Two-Face personality, right? The what's it called? The Big Bad Harv from the animated series.
Yeah.
He's-
Bad Harv.
He's got that going on, and that's the only thing that could potentially save him from this crazy shit that these mystical, supernatural weirdos have doused Harvey with. So I'm compelled by that. I want to see where that's going to go.
So you were good for like 3 pages in this thing then.
Yes. But I've seen Harvey Dent in a Batman comic very few times in my life. So anytime that he's a part of it, that's going to get me up.
What?
You heard what I said.
Okay, all right.
Two things in this book.
It makes him erect.
Harvey Dent, Jean Grey, Cheetah.
One more than the other. Oh, but which one? I'll never tell.
Also, why did this dude have just a piano out and playing it in Arkham Asylum? Why was he
Word.
allowed to do
Yeah,
that?
what do they give those people in Arkham Asylum? Like, what? They just like Mr. Freeze gets his whole frozen cell with
Well, he needs it to live. That I get.
Okay,
but this
I get
dude's
that,
just
but-
casually, regaling Arkham with the sounds of his piano play.
You literally kill
Maybe it
people
sounds
with
nice.
piano wire.
I was hoping it was the music maestro from Brave and the Bold,
Yeah.
because I don't think he's he's made an appearance in the comics before, but that honestly that bit where Batman interrogates the maestro or whatever, that was the only time where I was like, oh, this feels like something Batman would do. Outside of that, I wasn't really feeling it.
And these anonymous villains, like, this doesn't have, like, when the Court of Owls came around, they were interesting because we didn't know anything, and there was like this whole myth built up around it.
Mhm.
And you knew that before you knew anything else, and I thought that was pretty interesting. And they were like anonymous Gothamites or the rich elite of Gotham or whatever, so it roots it in Gotham. These people are like, they came from who knows where to do who knows what, to sow discord because their family is legacy of Arkham or whatever the hell. I don't care yet. They're not interesting personality wise. And I don't really have any connection to them yet. It's only been 2 issues, so I don't want to like close the door on them, but they're not doing it for me right now.
Yeah, I'm a lot more interested in the supernatural aspect of what's happening to Batman
Yeah.
more than basically anything else.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm gonna hang on to this one. I'm gonna say pull one last time. It's interesting, even if I don't agree with the voice of Batman, and I'm not compelled by the villains. I think the Harvey stuff's really good. I think the art's really good, and it's Ram V. Ram V always deserves, a lot of rope. So
Yeah. I think I'm in it for Ram. If it wasn't for that, I would probably been out in that first issue just because I wasn't as high on it as you guys. So I'm gonna give
like
this.
it.
I'm gonna give it probably one more shot.
I'll give it one more shot, but I gotta say, the Cy Spurrier Danny backup, almost worth the price of admission. I really like that stuff. It's a Danny drawn Gordon comic. So
Danny, incredible artist, absolute incredible
love
artist.
Danny. Love Danny.
I'm not caring about the story. Like the backup for me works in art alone at the moment.
Fair.
Does it not look like she's doing almost like a stuff without outline, but it looks like an early Frank Miller?
Oh, it
Yeah.
feels very much like a Sin City
Right?
sort of thing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm eating this thing up, man. It's so good.
Matt will say, y'all will say one more shot and review every future issue. I mean, that's how violent relationships work, Matt.
Wow. What violent? Why did you choose violent?
No reason.
Oh, it's Batman.
Yeah, exactly.
fair
Thanks,
enough.
Cal.
Uh-huh.
So that brings us to the last book this week, which is the end of, well, the presumed end of the run on Swamp Thing from Ram V, Mike and Mike, Perkins and Spicer, and Aditya Bidikar on letters. Swamp Thing number 16. Now, I noticed that none of us have mentioned any of the prior books being our book of the week. So, I'm assuming, unless someone forgot, unless we
Oh,
forgot,
fuck.
Oh, no,
that
I
we're
forgot.
all
yeah.
saying, we're all calling
Completely
this.
forgot.
Okay.
Completely forgot.
Okay.
No, I had a lot of problems with this book.
For me, this week so far was very middle of the road.
Yeah.
Nothing where I was like, oh, that was fucking great. That I forgot that I can like things and say it's my pick of the week.
Same. This was a dub, bro.
Really?
Yeah. I think the one I enjoyed the most, if I had to pick one, probably Judgment Day at this point. And I
think
had
that would be
problems
mine.
with
Yeah,
it.
that would be mine.
Fuck me. Mine might be Human Target.
This was mine.
Really?
Can't win them all.
Yeah. Yeah, this was mine. So this is the big end for the Swamp Thing. I think we've all acknowledged the ways in which it went off the rails. I'm gonna say that I thought they stuck the landing.
I agree. Yeah. Thematically, at least.
Thematically,
Yeah.
yeah.
The introduction, the first maybe 2-3 pages caught me because it felt very much as like a more classic Swamp Thing story. You're looking at a smaller part of America and there's this larger existential threat that is looming over them, and they're meant to be filled with this fear, and that worked really well. And then I don't know, then the conversation with Trinity and the Parliament of Gears, I understood the ideas, but I don't think that they were presented in a very clear way, and you had to like really stretch for some of them. This concept of destruction and having to choose between that or a process of creation. Get it? I mean, it makes sense, but I think it could have been done in a cleaner way that tied into the larger themes that the book has been trying to tell. Yeah, I don't know. This wasn't it.
That was sort of my thing for me. Is I wonder how at least this arc will play in the trade. Because this to me felt like the summary wrap up of the whole thing, and especially in the way Swampy was just explaining everything. So, I sort of want to go back and see if I can see what Ron was trying to plant, so to speak, in the rest of the issues. But it also that's more of an exercise as much as I don't want to read it again.
For me, I felt like it oversimplified everything at the end. It's like we had these really insightful ideas of, like, I guess one of the overarching themes throughout this run was the choice of, whether or not Levi wants to be the Avatar of the Green, and like how he goes about being his own version of it, and then it just being about, like, oh, this whole story was about choice, and the what's the word I'm looking for here? The method of telling that, just being Swamp Thing dictating it to us, I felt was a little ham-fisted. It was more like a show me, don't tell me sort of situation. But again, like, how do you do that when it comes to a character's feelings? Like I said, you have to tell. But I don't know. I did like the idea of the switching of the Parliament of Gears. So that was a good thing. How, like, innovation could also be a positive. It can be this all-consuming evil thing that just breaks down everything in its path just for the sake of innovation, or it can be the advancement of people and ideas and hope. And how that's two sides of the same coin. I thought that was a good thing that I kind of wish they would have expanded upon a little more. And I like how Trinity is now the Avatar too. I thought that was good. I don't know. It just felt a little too happy for me at the end. Like that one page where he's just like standing in the green smiling. Like, I never saw Swamp Thing that happy. You might. I don't know how that made you feel, Marco. But
the page.
Yeah,
thing?
yeah.
That's actually a callback. That's that happens in another book.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I don't have the encyclopedic knowledge of it.
I think I have that. Let me find it. Hold on.
You probably do.
I want to find your other thing too, Marco. See what the
which one?
Your little test. Did you read that at all?
Oh, yeah. I'm good. I'm good. No, I'm good, guys. I'm good.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Oh, okay.
I'm good. Passed.
COVID test, by the way, people.
Yeah,
just in case.
I'm sicky poo this week.
So Tyler, I think you mentioned that the book addresses that innovation can be creative or destructive. And that was something that I was worried about in earlier issues, where I was saying this doesn't make any sense to me because industry is not unilaterally bad. And I thought the book was presenting it in that way, and I didn't like that. And so it turned the corner on that, which is something that bothered me. But also, I feel like this was a story about creators and the governance of creativity by corporations. And I know, look, you could say it's a stretch, but the way that greed, which that dude ultimately is just like greed personified, is the thing that kills the innovator's ability to create. That's what I got out of this book.
I got that in the sense of industry, but industry alone, like, because it is a personification of the idea of innovation and gears, right? Like the turning of the creation, the process, and all that. I think I kept it relegated only to the manufacturing and industry end. I can see the argument for like it being kind of I guess a meta conversation about creators and how that the corporation can get in the way in that. But I think because it is the idea of industry, I think that's where I would relegate it to.
See, I don't think it's just that though, because the person who created the nuclear bomb is a creator. And that nuclear power is one of the things that allows the world to function. But it also is the most destructive act humanity has ever, it's the most vile act in the history of humanity. So I think that's why Trinity was chosen, because it represents those two things. Mm-hmm. She represents those two things. The book went from being like, I don't really understand what's going on, I don't like the messaging, I don't know, I don't get it, to the final issue, and now I think this was brilliant the whole time.
I think it deserves a reread in that sense of like understanding how those things break out, because I think the path
Yeah.
to get here was more confusing than the end message ended up being. I think to your point, Kale, it might read better in trade.
That's kind of how I felt while reading this, because I'm like, week to week, I'm kind of losing the threads, and I kind of want to see where it all fits together.
Well, month to month.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Even worse, I don't remember anything that happened. I remember Green Lantern showed up. I remember that.
I will say,
Fucking aliens or some shit.
both of yeah, that also didn't really resolve too well. They were just there the whole time. But Mike Spicer and Mike Perkins, killing it throughout this whole series.
Yeah.
I think
MVPs.
this is Perkins' like best showing I've seen in comics.
Yeah. Absolutely. Star Perkins was already a good hand, to use a wrestling phrase, but I think this was a star making series. Like I can't wait to see where Perkins goes from here. And Perkins and Spicer, they gotta work together again. They need to continue this
Absolutely.
relationship because I really feel like Spicer brings out the best
Yep.
in Perkins.
I think typically Perkins is colored muddily. I feel.
Yes, yes,
And this is almost the opposite of that, which I think works so much better.
yeah. Like, I feel like Spicer literally is bringing life to these pages. I mean, look at this right here. This simple page. Look at that guy's face. The personification of greed and the green coming through. Think about what that could look like if it was colored by other people. That could
It would
look
look like mid 2000s Carnage books.
yeah.
Ew.
No,
Ew.
but exactly.
That was
That-
Perkins.
that was Perkins, right?
That,
exactly.
like shininess, right? There was like a shine to it and like a sheen. Oh, I hate that.
Everything
shit,
is just a shade of brown.
dude. Ugh.
Maybe a little red thrown there. Maybe a mahogany. But
And you know, I love that it ended on a happy note. I thought that was awesome. It's a happy note, but it's also a reminder that, you know, these problems, just like these ideas, are never ending. And there will always be a battle to be fought. But hey, there will always be a Swamp Thing. And today, in the battle of ideas, you know, humanity, creativity, love, they won out. And that's something to be celebrated.
can I throw a question out there for you guys?
Yeah.
Where do you think Levi as Swamp Thing goes from here? Do you think it
The
continues?
ground.
Nah, dude. That's one of the disappointing things. Is I feel like after this, we're just gonna go back to Alec Holland. I don't know that somebody's gonna pick up Levi necessarily, because it's been the scenario where the 2000s arc was all Tefe, and that was Brian K. Vaughan, and nobody really picked up from there. Tefe was actually gone for a few years at that point in continuity. So I think that this is probably the first and last time we'll see him. Maybe we'll see him as like a parliament member in some off story, but I don't see this being a protagonist moving forward for the DC universe.
And just Levi as a character seems like a very Ram V, like a personal decision.
That too.
I hope
Yeah.
to see him more. I think, you know, no offense, Marco, but again, I haven't read a lot of Swamp Thing, but like Alec Holland's a little too vanilla. I like the there's some-
Literally, bro.
this is a little more modern interpretation of a character. So
Yeah, I dug it. I dug the fact that it was a different kind of character. It was just a different person in general. I think that can only benefit the legacy of the Swamp Thing, because it's an avatar. It's meant to change. It's meant to adapt. It's meant to grow the same way that the Parliament does. Like, that's one of the themes, is everlasting growth and everlasting change. Nothing's gonna be static, because nothing ever is.
Paul, book of the week. I think it was a great finale.
I think this conversation turned me more onto it. So thank you, Sean, for that.
You're welcome.
I'll pull
I
this.
kind of agree, actually, Marco. Now that
Wow.
I think I do too, but only to the fact of when it comes out, maybe I'll give it more of a chance than I want to.
I would like, if this is a collected into like a deluxe hardcover, instant get for me. Something I definitely
Sure.
want. And Matt says, "Thank God it's over." Matt, I would say pick this up and trade. I think you might actually like it.
But
After
Matt,
the
was
PTSD of always hearing us talk about it?
Was this a better review? You always talk about how sleepy we are. Was this a better way to go out with this book or what? So that's gonna do it for our reviews this week. But that's not the end of the show because someone here has had a tag on their back
Ooh. Ooh.
for 3 weeks.
Ooh.
Marco,
Call me the human target, baby. Got that target on my back.
and we're coming for you.
Hey, yo. Yes, I was tagged to read the as much as I could or wanted of Grant Morrison's Batman, and I was particularly told by Sean to pay attention to the art. Let me tell you, I had fun, bro. I think I ended up reading like 5-6 issues. I think.
Oh, you're not even into the good stuff then.
Dude, I didn't. The introduction of Damien was very interesting. I didn't know that was the first appearance. I didn't know it was a Gmo creation, so that was cool. The entire issue where they're fighting in the art museum, and it's there's a comment that Bruce makes where it's like, oh, I'm not into all this high art. I'm more about the, I forget, and he starts naming off whatever artists, and I'm like, oh, cheeky Morrison, and actually I took screenshots.
Wait, who does he name off? I'm curious.
What
You know what
happened?
issue that is? I want to look it up. I want to see what artist Bruce Wayne is into. Is he into like Dada? Or is that
No,
too?
it was a little less than that, but I like Hubert. I like the Hubert brothers a lot, and I think what they bring to comics is a bit of cartooniness, but also some caricature, and I really appreciate that because I think it makes for phenomenal facial expressions. I'm gonna try this. Let's see if this works. Hold on. But there are moments where, come on, baby,
It's getting there. It's
adjust."
getting there.
right.
Good enough.
Where like the faces, the facial structure, the way the eyes are bulging, it's meant to like display this horror. Great stuff. There's some good stuff that the panels do. For example, here we see, come on, baby, get in there. It says over here, just closer, and then we zoom in, and then the next panel is literally just a little closer. I'm like, all right, congrats. This bam. Oh,
Yes.
phenomenal. I was like, all right, bro, we get it. You're doing good shit here. And the story is just really compelling. It's in comparison to the 1063 that we just read from Ron B. There's no, I think, dialogue box that's in the way. Things are laid out very, very cleanly. The narrative of the story is, frankly, the cliffhangers are fun. They grip you. I was having a lot of fun. I'm gonna keep reading this because I was having genuinely a lot of fun with it.
Morrison's Batman just feels deliberate in every sense of it.
Yeah, man, and I think I get to choose now. And so I've been thinking about this.
You had long enough.
I wanted to tag Sean with something because I think Tyler's probably already read it, but I think also Tyler would get more of a kick out of this already. So
If I haven't read it,
think
I'll jump in.
Olympia.
Wait, Marco, can you even hear us?
Hold on, wait. I can't hear now. Ugh.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm like, wait, we're responding to you.
Okay, there we go. What'd you say, Tyler?
No, I said if it's something I haven't read, then maybe I'll jump in.
Have you read Olympia?
What is that?
Kurt Pyers and Tony Pyers. Two brothers. It's a book about a superhero in a comic book that pops out into the world that is going on in this story. And the character discovers that he is a comic book character and has an existential crisis about it. So I'm like, okay, this feels meta enough for Sean, I think. And
That's compelling.
It's 5 issues, so super short. You don't have to read all of them. The first one is free on Comixology Unlimited if you haven't yet unsubscribed.
I still haven't unsubscribed, so
All right. So you could read the first one, and then if you like it, if the premise is interesting enough, it's a double-sized first issue, so a lot of content, and yeah, then I would recommend you get the rest of it because I genuinely had a lot of fun. This was one of my books of the year, I think, in like 2019 or 2018, whenever it came out.
I remember you talking about this book.
Right?
It had to have been on this podcast.
It absolutely was. I was picking up every issue.
And do I remember iFanboy talking about this too at the time?
Maybe, but it genuinely
looking that up.
was a lot of fun, and I think the way that it alludes to a lot of Kirby art. So a lot of this is inspired by Jack Kirby. A lot of this is inspired by like more classic comics.
I remember you talking about this now too. Yeah.
Yeah. Genuinely a lot of fun. This feels like a love letter to comic books, which is a lot of stuff.
all right. I will read it and I will report back next week. But are we just gonna let Marco get away with
Whoa!
3 weeks
Whoa!
worth of tardiness here?
did you
There's got to
have
be
something
some
in
kind of
mind?
punishment.
We fucking let you get away with not doing it, so I don't know. Marco, do you want to do a punishment?
You made me read a racist comic, so I feel like I'm out of the woods on that.
Well, there's a difference though. Yours was negligence. Marco's was
Capitalism.
he had it ready. He had
Yeah.
it ready.
My shit was the Parliament of Gears fucking my shit up.
All right, fair enough. That
Plus,
brings
I
us
feel like
into
Marco likes punishments too, so I don't want to please him in any way. So
Kink.
That's punishment enough.
that.
No.
That brings us into Pals Pulls for, as we said, a kind of a week that's pretty dry as it is in California or wherever it's dry in the country.
Loins.
I mean, that women I talked to on Tinder.
Oh.
Whoa.
As dry as your DMs.
As dry as my DMs. Still learning how to do that again. Not doing too well. Let's talk about a really, really interesting fifth week because this is probably the smallest Pals polls that I've had to put together. Sean, do you want to mention what we talked about? Earlier in the week, off mic, what we wanted to do because next week might be a good week to do that.
Yes, that's a good point. Thank you for the reminder. So we want to open up a slot for you guys to choose a book that we read. We want to institute a listener pick for Pals Pulls. So really simple. All you have to do is on Twitter, you can add us, tell us what book you want. If you're on the Discord, you can put it there. Wherever you can leave us a comment, wherever you can engage with us, you tell us what book you think we should read next week.
Issue.
Yeah. A book that's coming out that week. One issue that's dropping that week. Let's say, for example, you are a big fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and a new arc is starting and you think that we should jump on for whatever the reason is, we will do it if we pick you. So if your pick is compelling, if enough people choose it too, or we just really like it, we will do that next week on the show. So submit your picks now.
But to see what we're also talking about next week, Sean, you and I both picked Thunderbolts #1. This has been a while coming.
Yeah, it really has. I don't know if that's due to solicits just being so far out sometimes, or they wanted lead time to try to get people excited for the book. But they announced it, I think, spinning out of Dark Reign, right? Or Devil's Reign.
Yeah, which Devil's Reign ended, like 3 months ago?
Yeah. So it's been a while.
Yeah. But I'm interested to see what this is. It's a Hawkeye-led Thunderbolts team. It's a weird lineup. It's not a typical villain lineup. It's Photon and Hawkeye. Two people I like, so we'll see. Then all of us, was this all of us or at least 3 of us?
I only had
picked.
one poll.
Okay,
Oh, that's
so it was
funny.
me and Marco then.
I didn't have any other ones, so I'm just like, I guess I'll toss this on.
Ant-Man #2. Al Ewing, Tom Riley, Jordy Blair. I picked it because this is a freaking Eric O'Grady issue, and Eric O'Grady is my favorite Ant-Man, so always happy to see more of him. I'm excited to see what you think of Eric O'Grady, Marco.
Okay, yeah, I haven't heard of that art. I mean, this for me is Riley all the way,
Yeah.
but I'm down.
And Kale, you picked New Burn Volume 1. This is by Chip Zdarsky and Jacob Phillips.
Yeah, this is Zdarsky's Columbo ripoff. I'm into it. I'm having a good time. I enjoyed. I think I read up to issue 4, so I'm excited to get in and see how it ends and maybe figure out what the hell cubic zirconia was, that backup that was in it. I never got that. I didn't understand what that was, but I really like New Burn.
I think you're gonna like when you catch up. I think you're gonna like it.
Yeah.
Oh, you're reading it, Marco. Okay.
Yeah, I'm still reading it.
Okay.
I'm not caught up all the way, but I'm like maybe like 2-3 issues back.
And Kale, you also picked Astro City Metro Book number 2.
Yeah. So this one it's specifically for Catherine. It's another catch up on Astro City. And this one has probably my favorite Astro City story. Which I can't remember the name of, but it's about a former thug, villain thug, who is made of metal and can't be hurt, and he has to save the world. It's incredible. It's one of my favorite stories. It's got a lot of emotion to it. It's got a lot of real, old guy thinking about his past and using it to fuel the future and stuff. I really love this story.
You ever think this gets adapted into film or TV?
No,
No?
I guess it could, but
Like an
Not
anthology
in
sort of
any-
thing? Like a Love,
Yeah.
Death, and Robots situation? Or
Ooh, yeah.
not in any way that would be good.
And not even like a limited series. I could see it as that.
I mean, I thought that
I
I thought
don't
the same
think
with
so.
Sandman, and I fucking love that show. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't trust myself anymore. And then Marco, how will I pronounce this? Showed?
Oh, I don't know. I was going by SHWD, Special Hazardous Waste Disposal.
Oh, okay.
This is a Yuri book, so some lady action, romance specifically, and this company, the Special Hazardous Waste Disposal, hires mostly men. The only 2 women that they hire get put onto a team, and one of them falls for the other, and that's it.
Yeah, this
Premise.
tracks for Marco.
Yep,
Why
one of
does
them
this
has-
woman have on the cover? She has a Rob Liefeld Captain America chest.
Uh huh. You are correct.
Wild. Love to see American classics being adapted in in the East.
The superhero genre just prevalent everywhere, man. You
Yep.
you can't escape it.
Super bosoms.
And I found the page here. This is
Oh, I've seen that page. Okay.
yeah.
He's just sunning his holes, as they say, right?
Uh-huh.
As they say.
As they
Yep.
say.
Sean, do you
Alright,
sun your
and-
holes? All right, we'll get into the show. Never mind.
Thank you. We'll be back Saturday to talk about more comics, comic book news, and the like on the main show, which you can catch live on Twitch at 10:15 a.m. Eastern. If you want to catch this show live next Thursday, where we're going to review something, right? We're going to review some comics.
I think Ant-Man is the only definite at this point. And Thunderbolts, right?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Okay, yeah.
I'm gonna be sick next week.
Okay.
Yeah. Hanging out with the same
That-
people Marco's hanging out with?
That listener suggestion might be hot. We don't know. Could be good. We'll see. Tune in to find out next week, Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern. Patreon.com/The Comics Pals. For as little as $3 a month, you can support your boys, get our newsletter. You can get our after show, Palling Around. You can get your name shouted out on the main show. Lots of cool stuff available to you for being a member of our Patreon page. Thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate it. Till next time, take care, guys.
See you next week.